Welcome back, campers. I'm Jersh,
I'm Mears.
and we're the Modern Campfire Crew, huddled around our computers to talk about all things movies. I'm leaving it at that. We're just talking about movies right now, so that's what we're doing. In this episode, we're going to review the movie American Fiction. It is nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards, so we thought we would check it out. It was directed by Cord Jefferson, based on the novel called Eraser that came out in 2001 by Percival Everett. The screenplay, it was adapted by Cord Jefferson, and it stars Jeffrey Wright, Tracy Ellis Ross, John Ortiz, Erica Alexander, and Sterling K. Brown. We're going to do a spoiler-free section where we won't give away any big major plot developments, and then we'll do a spoiler section in a little bit. But vaguely, the movie is about a writer who is kind of upset about the way in which the African American culture that he is a part of is displayed in media, and how it affects his own writing as a writer, and there's some familial drama and stuff, and I don't want to give too much away in spoilers, but that essentially is the premise, is following this writer as he deals with kind of greater societal messaging at large, and internally some struggles that he's going on that are going on within his family. So, Mears, let me ask you, had you heard of this movie? What was your familiarity with it at all? And what did you think of it?
So I had never heard of this before. Didn't know it existed at all. Definitely didn't know it was nominated. Um, and I'm pretty familiar with Jeffrey Wright. Like I've loved him in like the Bond movies, and I was kind of surprised that he was in a movie like this. Um, to me, as much as I've seen him, I hadn't seen him be in a movie this genre. Um, and I thought it was pretty good. It's not my favorite movie I've ever seen. I think what it was trying to do, I think it could have taken things a little bit further. I
Mm,
thought it was kind of getting a little it was a little bland on the, are we saying what genre it is?
kind of, I get a dark comedy almost.
Yeah. I feel like it could have been um or it could have been maybe a little bit funnier. They could have pushed things because they were kind of taking things
Hmm.
um to a place I think they could have taken further and more like extreme and over the top. And
Hmm.
I think them not doing that, I was kind of like, wait a minute, what is this movie exactly doing? Like what, it didn't quite get there for me. Um if it had been a little bit more off the wall, I think I probably would have liked it more.
Hmm.
Um and I I'm unsure about how I feel about the ending,
Okay.
um, which we'll talk about later.
Hmm.
Uh, and yeah, nothing about it like blew me away. I didn't hate it.
Right.
It just is kind of like a little lukewarm for me. I think I was surprised that it was nominated for Best Picture. I'll be honest.
Yeah, so for me, I enjoyed it. Actually, I thought it was pretty good. I liked the premise. I liked the performances. I thought Sterling K. Brown in particular was really fun. He just was kind of an enjoyable, interesting, kind of layered character who kind of goes through peaks of and valleys emotionally almost in an instant, and you kind of believe him every way. I've always been like a big Jeffrey Wright fan. I've enjoyed him in a lot of movies. He just has, similar to the holdovers, I feel like he was so perfectly cast here that I don't know if he was challenged very much, because it just, his mannerisms and his voice, like you just look at him and you see this middle-aged downtrodden writer who is like, critical and cynical of the world, and has some biting
Hmm.
assertions to make about it, and it's just like he lives and breathes that delivery with his natural voice, you know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
thought that he was a great choice for this part. He's like perfectly cast for this part to hold the ship while a little bit to kind of be the straight man while a little bit more crazy stuff happened around him. I would say that it kind of had one foot in the fantastical and 1 foot in the real, and that doesn't, I mean, it doesn't give away the movie in any way. But what I would say is I wish it picked a lane, because similar to you,
Yeah.
there were like some scenes, like one scene in particular while he's writing felt really out of place to me, because it's like the
Yeah.
only time you see these elements in the movie. I was like,
Yes.
I would say the whole movie should have been this, or we should never have done this at all. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and yeah, the ending, I thought that, yeah, they could have, they probably could have gone further. Um, the actor that plays the director producer guy with the mullet, I've never really been a big fan of his. He's just kind of been
Adam Brody.
yeah, he's just kind of been the pretty boy and whatever. But I actually thought with his minimal screen time, he kind of played like a douchebag director pretty good.
Mhm.
I thought,
Mhm.
yeah. Um, and I don't know, like this reminded me of a '90s movie. It reminded me of a movie we don't get anymore, where you're just hanging out with a character, hanging out with his family, and a few bigger things happen in the background, but you're just spending time with his family, and some pretty significant things happen to him and his family. It kind of reminded me of Heart and Souls. It reminded me of Crooklyn. It reminded me of I mean, almost Reservoir Dogs, where it's just like it's this, it's a specific place in time with a small group of people, and we're just kind of hanging out. Like maybe Once Upon a Time in Hollywood as well. It's like a hangout movie, like just spending some time with this character and his family in this world, and we're learning about his personal struggles and his professional struggles. Um, so yeah, so it didn't. But yeah, I mean, best picture, I no, I don't think
I
so.
don't think so.
You know what I mean? I thought it was a good, solid movie that, um, am I ever gonna watch it again? Probably not. But am I mad that I purchased it for this review? Not necessarily. I'm happy to support
Yeah.
a movie like this, a kind of double A movie where you've got really talented actors and a smaller scale story. I just think that, yeah, that's kind of rare, um, I like personally, just as a regular white dude, I've always like, I've made the joke like, what's the difference between appropriation and appreciation? You know what I mean? And I kind of feel like this movie sort of tries to tackle that subject among many other societal subjects about, preconceived notions of people, and putting people in a box, and even Jeffrey Wright, even Monk's own preconceived notions that he makes about other people,
Mhm.
based on his lived experience.
Yes.
So I loved it. What I did love about it was the variety of points of views and the different ways with which a lot of different characters can see the world in way different ways than you would assume that they would. And that at the end of the day, kind of, the heart of the message of, not judging a book by its cover and not being so assumptive that you know everything about somebody because they share certain characteristics with another group of people, whether it's their race or gender or religious beliefs or whatever. You know what I mean? So, and I chuckled a few times. Like I did, like
Yeah.
I do think that there are some things said in this movie that everyday people say in their everyday that is almost like taboo to say and see in movies. And they kind of went there. I do agree. I kind of wish they went a little bit further too.
Yeah.
Um, from a story structure, I also liked how the personal problems and the professional problems kind of come to a head and dovetail really well. I'm a really big fan of
Mhm.
multiple plots, converging. I thought
Mhm.
that was pretty successful. Uh, and the music, the background piano, the lighthearted piano, and just like going for a stroll on the beach. I kind of like those aspects as well. So there was only really a couple of things that, um, I don't know. Yeah, like similar to you, I don't think there's anything I outright disliked about it. There's just, uh, yeah, there's just not a lot to it. It's not a very
Yeah.
big, expansive movie, but that's okay. It doesn't, not every movie needs to have everything. And so, for what it was trying to do, that was pretty successful at the kind of the tone it was seeking, the story it wanted to tell, and um, spending time. The more time we spent with the characters, the more real they started to feel. You know.
Mhm.
So yeah. So what's your number? What's your rating? How many marshmallows are we going to give this one before we get into our spoiler talk?
I think I'm gonna give it a 7.
Okay.
7
I
marshmallows.
I also am at a 7. So a 7 on our scale is great. It's a solid effort that succeeds in what it is attempting and is mostly enjoyable, but it might be held back by a technical issue or a less than desirable creative choice. So yeah, a couple creative choices on what happens to some characters and how far they kind of push the social messaging kind of held it back. And I don't know, not every movie needs like an Oscar scene, but there wasn't really any standout moment or emotion or monologue or anything to make me think that this was like, award worthy. But again, that can be kind of the beauty of these performances sometimes.
I think this one was the least. It was the least Oscar baity out of all the Oscar nominees we've watched so
I
far for the season.
completely agree.
Yeah, all the others I think had elements of Oscar bait. In this one, I feel like it was just a movie, and I'm kind of surprised that I didn't know about it. I don't know if did it get like a regular theatrical release, or was it like a limited release, or
Yeah, so
do we
it
know?
was. Yeah, I do have a little bit of information here. So it premiered at TIFF, Toronto International Film
Oh,
Festival,
mhm.
in September, and then it had a apparently some sort of theatrical release in December. Um, and so actually, yeah,
Maybe I just missed it, like, because I
it
don't
was
remember
very
seeing it.
limited release. Then it got
Okay.
5 Oscar nominations, and it doubled the amount of theaters that it released to,
Oh.
but it still was only select cities. It was not nationwide. So
Because
yeah.
I know, yeah, there's a lot of the Oscar nominated films only get like two theaters around here that show
Hmm.
like some of the artsier movies. Um, I feel like this could be just like just a regular theatrical release, and I think yeah, I would say it's more of like a general audience movie than some of the others.
Hmm.
Except maybe like holdovers. I feel like that's probably like a
Hmm.
general, like I think audiences generally would all enjoy it. Um, but yeah, I think this was maybe the more of the like generally like likable movie of um non film nerds.
Yeah.
Um,
And I would say a big part of its charm is that, yeah, it just was seeking out to tell a story and it happened to catch a lot of attention and get some award
mhm,
nominations. You know what I mean? So,
mhm.
yeah. So that's going to do it for the spoiler free portion. Let's go ahead and do a brief spoiler section right now. Full spoiler warning for the movie American Fiction. If you have not seen this movie, it is available for purchase on Apple, and I believe a couple of days before the Oscars premiere, it's going to be available to rent or on Hulu. So if you're watching this in the future or around Oscar time, you can check it out if you don't want to be spoiled. Having said that, we're going to speak about full spoilers here. Really briefly, I want to touch on the Oscar nominations that it received. So it received Best Picture, Best Actor, Jeffrey Wright, Best Supporting Actor, Sterling K. Brown, Best Adapted Screenplay, and Best Original Score. The music was a standout for me. I don't know when we get to our Oscars episode if that's going to be my pick, but I did really like it. I thought it was a really warm, really cozy, and welcoming. And without the music, I think a lot of the tone and the dialogue doesn't land. Without that little
Yeah.
piano sting to let you know it's okay to
Hmm.
laugh. You know.
Right.
So yeah. So what spoiler wise would you like to talk about? Either something you liked or didn't like in the movie.
So first of all, so I didn't know what the genre was when I started it. I was kind of just by the title, I was kind of imagining like I don't know, like an Oscar bait, like I imagine like an uppity English teacher teaching this like literature class, and it's like yeah, that's basically what I
And then
thought
he
about
bonds with the
was it.
students over Christmas
Yeah.
break and like the holdovers.
Yes, exactly. Basically, yeah. Um, yeah, I definitely I didn't imagine it would be anything like this. I didn't know who was in it. Like I said, never heard of it. Um, and I was surprised. I was taken by surprise when Issa Rae does the reading of her book, and it the dialogue in it, and then how it's just played like so straight, and then it just cuts to Jeffrey Wright looking like what? and it that made me laugh. And
Everything with
just
his
like the
agent was hilarious.
yeah, oh my god. And he's a fun. I like him as an actor.
Yeah.
I kind of wish he was in it more than he was. Like I feel like they could have probably cut back to him more times. But he yeah, that really kind of took me by surprise, made me laugh. And the fact that like it's just this world of white people who think that all that's okay,
Mm-hmm.
and that they like it, and that they have a say, they have more of a say in how, if these books should be produced and what should be in them, because it makes them feel better about um being racist,
Themselves.
and they
Yeah.
feel like it's erasing um their ancestors past,
Mm-hmm.
and they're making themselves feel better with it. Like, we want to have this movie out by Juneteenth, and we want to do all this, and
Mm-hmm.
have a scarf wrapped around his head.
Yeah.
Michael B. Jordan. We want Michael B. Jordan to be in the movie, which that really tickled me. Um, yeah, it was that's the stuff and the comedy bits. That's what I liked, I think, the most about it. I did like more of the heartwarming stuff with Monk's mom, and
Mm-hmm.
kind of like the realness of that, as I've gone through things like that with my family,
The
so that kind of
sister
hit home for
dying
me.
immediately
That shocked
shocked the hell out of
me.
me. I was like,
Yeah,
what?
because I'm like, oh, Tracy Ellis Ross, like she's gonna be, give like this great performance. And I watched the trailer after, and I didn't realize it till later. She got like second billing, I think, with Jeffrey Wright. Like she was up there. Like you would think that she was gonna
Oh,
be
so that's a
like
really good misdirect then. Yeah.
the lead actress of the film.
Mm-hmm.
And with her being a doctor and stuff, it kind of shocked me that that would happen.
Mm-hmm.
And then because you're already dealing with the mom, and then it's like bam, bam, now we've lost the sister. Um, and then plus the stuff with the book and the stress and stuff, and then a new relationship, and then stress coming with like everything else, and then the brother and the stress. Like, I'm surprised he didn't have like a full on, that Jeffrey Wright didn't have a full on breakdown
I
during
know.
this. Um,
And he was a
just because there was
genuine
so much.
asshole to his girlfriend. Like when he
Yeah.
said like you're not my bookkeeper or something, I was like, "Fuck you." She just cares. She just is worried
Mhm.
about you cuz you're being secretive, you know? So,
Mhm.
I guess when you list all of the struggles that he's going through in his life, it makes sense that he would lash out and not be his best self, the best version of himself. Um,
Yeah.
I also the cover makes a lot more sense after you watch the movie because he's like there's like a
I
stencil
haven't even
drawing.
really seen the.
There's a
Oh,
stencil
okay,
drawing of
yeah.
him as like a gang member with a sideways hat and chains and everything like
Okay, I
that.
see it. Oh my
Um,
gosh.
but yeah, the scene where he's writing and Keith David and another actor are like acting out this kind of again stereotypical derivative scene. Uh, like it's called American Fiction, which again that's a really generic. I don't like the title of the movie at all. Anything
Yeah.
American, whatever. I'm not really interested anymore because I've
Should
seen
have just called
American.
the F word.
I know American.
Yeah.
Um, but I really wish the whole movie would have been like when he has a real world interaction with his family. It'd be great if there were side characters in his imagination to the left of them doing the heightened written performative version as if he's pulling from real life and what he's going to put in the book. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
But they didn't do that. Like I genuinely don't think the Keith David scene should have been in the movie.
Yeah, yeah, I was so happy to see it, and I was like, "Oh, we're gonna do something interesting here. Are we gonna see like the whole, key scenes from the book? Are they gonna be?" Because I liked how they were like, "What do I say next?" And like, "What's this?" I kind of thought maybe even they were gonna come out and be like, kind of like his angel and devil on his shoulders, and
Mm-hmm.
be like giving him help throughout the movie, stuff like that. Yeah, I kind of, yeah, it's stuff like that that I'm like, I wish they just would have taken further. I wish they would have. I think they could have gone even further with the stuff with the book being like insane. I think they could have taken that probably even a bit further to be just like more full, because like it wasn't full comedy, it wasn't full draw. It was like a lot of different things happening.
Yeah.
A lot of different genres to where you like you said like I wasn't sure like what exactly what movie I was watching, and I think that probably affected like my feelings on it. Like if it had been just a full like slapstick comedy, I probably
Hmm.
would have liked it a lot more. Um, but yeah, I wish they would have just either, go big or go home.
Yeah. And I do think I I kind of appreciated the mundanity of his real life because I felt like that's what the movie was trying to articulate was that Hollywood and entertainment and, media portrays African American culture and families as this heightened stereotype when in reality there's probably thousands of hundreds of millions of families that are just like every other family of every other background, and but that's not sensationalist or exciting enough to or dramatic enough to get clicks, so it's not talked about or
Hmm.
reported on or
Hmm.
written about or anything like that. And so I really liked the duality of yeah, the excessive sensational storyline, the fake book that he wrote gets him all this attention, all this money, and his real life is just like couldn't be more boring. He's fighting with his girlfriend and he's taking care of his sick
Hmm.
mom and his brother, which Sterling K. Brown like really stole the movie for me. Just like all the
Hmm.
insanity, all of a sudden he's just swimming in the pool, and he uh again it's he felt like a fully realized character because he wasn't all bad sibling and he wasn't all good sibling. He like had a mixture of everything,
Yeah.
um
Yeah. It felt more real that he was like multi-layered.
yeah. And the fact that the main character is so judgmental himself and he's mad at the world for being judgmental, I thought that was like really a really fun uh, kind of gimmick and premise and a way to articulate a message of the movie, which is, we shouldn't be so assumptive. You shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Like I was,
Hmm.
I felt his character's emotions in the movie. Like when he laughed at that book reading because of all of the derivative negative stereotype dialogue that is read aloud, and then he has that meeting with her later in the literacy group, and she's like, well, my book was actually real. Like this might sound
Yeah.
stereotypical, but I actually spoke with members of specific communities and I got real world examples. So I thought that was like, and then his like oh shit was like my oh shit, like it felt that
It,
too.
it hit me after because I was thinking, oh yeah, that's like played for laughs because it sounds so like crazy to hear that be like a real book and be something that's okay, and then his reaction to it and like what's this. But then yeah, towards the end I was thinking like what is funny about that?
Mm-hmm.
What like that, sure, that is real. um yeah, so I don't know, maybe I'm gonna give it a better score. I don't know, maybe maybe my mind's changing about this movie. I
It
don't
is.
know.
I mean, again, it is. It's a little slow. It's a little one note. It's not. I don't know if it's. I don't know if it's profound, but it is. It is a conversation starter, and it is something. And it is a
It
movie
is.
that makes you think. Where it's like, you know, just stop making assumptions. Good assumptions, bad assumptions. Does that quote sound like a stereotype? Maybe it is a stereotype. Maybe it isn't. We don't know. Don't assume the background of somebody just by looking at them. Is like kind of the whole.
Right.
Um, but yeah, the I really liked the ending with the false endings and like doing the pullback and finding that they were making the movie of they didn't end up making the movie of the Stagger Lee book. They like made a movie of his coming clean with it. That was the movie, right? So it was almost like
Yeah.
it was like movieception. Um, I did like how they explored the different endings, and sure enough, it was kind of like the movie saying, you know, we want people to take away this lesson, but people probably aren't going to because the director, the first chance he gets at doing the more stereotypical, divisive, racially insensitive ending, I like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, so I'm glad that I checked it out. I'm glad that we have such a variety of
Hmm.
kind of movie subjects. I feel like there was an era growing up that it was all biopics, it was all period Civil War period pieces, and now it's like again you've got Zone of Interest and Poor Things and Oppenheimer and Barbie and now American Fiction. Like it's a lot of different genres and performances and messages, and I'm like really appreciative of that. That we got the opportunity to check out a lot of these movies, and you know, I love really good movies, and I hate really bad movies. I don't hate the people that make them. Making movies is hard.
Hmm.
All movies are miracles, even the bad ones. It's tough to do. It's hard to do. But
Hmm.
I despise so despise bad movies because it's like such a gift to be able to make a living telling stories like that. So I want it to turn out good, which they do too. Well,
Yeah.
most of them. But yeah, so I think after this we'll have another movie review and then our Oscar predictions episode. So we got to prepare for that. That's going to do it for this episode. Why don't you take us home, Mears?
All right. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't forget to leave a comment, like, or subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Until next time.